Hey, and welcome back to the Zenith Land Real Estate channel. If you're getting ready to buy a home in Georgia, especially if you are a first-time buyer, you may or may not have heard your agent mention the purchase and sale agreement in your conversations. So today I'm going to walk you through the first page of this agreement. This is really where you fill out most of the important details about your purchase or the offer you're making to purchase a home. We're going to go step by step, and I'll give you a heads up of what to expect in each section. I'm also going to include two other items that aren't on the first page of the agreement, but they're important when putting together an offer. So let's dive in. But remember, this is just a brief overview. Your buyer's agent will talk you through all of the decisions that you have to make. So make sure you have a good, deep conversation with them about what to include in your offer. So the first section of the purchase and sale deals with property details. And this is there to make sure that there's no confusion about what's being bought and what's being sold. And the details are divided up into the property address and the legal address. The property address is what you would think of as the mailing address. And the legal description of the property is what is found in the recorded deed. And then in the next section, you're going to put down your purchase price. And the purchase price is the total amount that you are offering to pay for the property. And then there's closing cost. You're going to decide in this section if you're going to ask the seller to contribute to your closing cost. Now, some of these are negotiable, so this is a section you need to pay close attention to. Then there's a closing date. This is the day that everything becomes official. You're going to sign all the paperwork and officially become the homeowner. To go along with the closing date is the possession date. This tells you when you're going to get the keys and when you can move into your new home. Usually that happens at closing, but sometimes the seller might need to stay a little longer, or you might need to be in the home a little earlier than closing. So just make sure you know what the plan is that's going to suit your situation. The closing attorney. This person's important because they're the ones that handle all of the paperwork. They coordinate the funds and they make sure that everything is legal and accurate. If you don't know of a closing attorney, your buyer's agent can help you. The earnest money deposit. So think of this as your skin in the game. It's good faith money that you're going to put down to show the seller that you're serious about buying the property. You're going to write down how much you're putting down and how you're going to pay for it, like check or wire transfer. And you're also going to be putting in who is going to hold the earnest money. Usually that's one of the brokers, or it could also be the closing attorney. Another important section is going to be the due diligence section of the first page. It's important to you for two reasons. First, it's your window of opportunity to do a deep dive into the property, from getting your inspections done to finding out any other information you want to know about the property. And the second reason it's important is that should you encounter issues about the property that makes you think that maybe this is just not the home for you, you can do a written termination, deliver it to the seller prior to the end of due diligence, and receive your earnest money deposit back. All right, the relationships in the transaction section. Are you, the buyer, being represented as a client, or are you a customer? Do you not know? Well, if you signed a buyer brokerage agreement with your agent, you are a client and you're going to get their full representation. The time limit of the offer. That's the period of time before the offer expires, and it's during that time that you're hoping that the seller is going to accept your offer. Maybe instead of accepting it, they give you a counter offer. But that's the period of time that your offer is valid and ready to be negotiated or accepted. Leaving the first page and going further into the document is the exhibits and addenda section. This is where you're going to list any extra documents that need to be attached to the offer and then subsequent contract. These are things like the seller's property disclosure, or your financing exhibit, or the lead-based paint exhibit. And then also in the document further in the back is the special stipulations section. And this is a big one because it helps you customize your contract. Special stipulations are basically extra terms or conditions that you want the seller to agree to. They aren't part of the standard items on the first page, and they let you add specifics that match your transaction situation. For example, maybe you want the seller to leave behind a certain appliance, like the refrigerator or the washer and dryer or the shed in the backyard. Or maybe you need extra time for closing because you're waiting on your current home to sell. Or maybe during the home tour you saw some things that need to be repaired and you want to know up front that the seller is going to repair those things before closing. Anything like that can go into special stipulations. The GAR Forms Committee has put together a series of stipulations that are attorney authored. And you and your buyer's agent can go through that list to see which ones, if any of them, apply to your situation. Whatever the special stipulation is, it has to be written correctly in order to protect you. At the very end, once all of the terms have been agreed to and all the parties have signed, you will then have your binding agreement date. Now, the binding agreement date is really important to you as a buyer because it sort of sets in motion all of the other dates of your contract. It's like a countdown. It starts the countdown. And there you have it. That's the highlights of the purchase and sale agreement. I know it can feel like a lot of information all at one time, but once you break it down, it's really just about making sure that all the key details are clear and in writing from the very start. But this is important. Make sure you understand all of the terms and the details of that purchase and sale. And if you don't understand, ask questions of your buyer's agent. That's what they're there for. They're there to help you through this. If you found this video helpful, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more easy step-by-step guides just like this one. And if you've got other questions about the purchase and sale agreement or about buying a home in general, drop those in the comments below. I would love to help you. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.